Kia ora, it's Ruth here in my backyard in Christchurch, and I just wanted to talk about some problems and some solutions that I found with Pea Straw. This is my first season using it, and if you've seen my other videos, I absolutely love it. Previously I thought that I really loved the look of just plain soil in my garden, but since having the Pea Straw I can't imagine just going back to that. It just has so great for summer. I couldn't imagine doing it without it, with how hot it's been, how windy it's been, and my plants have just done so much better with having it on here. But with it I've found some problems. Problem number one, I'll show you a close-up. We've just planted leeks, and when you plant leeks you kind of dig a big kind of cylinder hole and just plop it down, and the Pea Straw from the birds, and I think just from the general watering and everything, ends up covering in the hole, so I find that every day I seem to be trying to uncover them. I've also found this for when I've been planting little seedlings, but I visited some friends last week and they had a wonderful solution, so I'll show you what I've done there. So I found that even with having netting over my plants, the Pea Straw would still cover little seedlings, but a super simple solution is cardboard tubes. So what I've done is when I transplanted all my spinach seedlings, I have put tubes around them. So this one here was actually beforehand, and I had the Pea Straw around it and I kept on losing it, having to find it again, and so it didn't grow very strong because it wasn't getting much light. But these ones have only been in there for a couple of days and they're looking so good. So they're still getting the goodness of having the Pea Straw around them for keeping all the moisture in, but they're getting their own growing space. And the good thing about the cardboard tube is when the plant gets big enough, I can either pull it off if I still can, or I can just rip it, and it's a nice natural material. So that is a wonderful solution, which I'm also going to have to do with my leeks. The cardboard tubes, they work really well when I'm transplanting things, but there's things like carrots that you can't transplant, you need to plant straight in the ground. So again I had a problem because I wanted to plant them straight in the ground, but I knew that I would be losing them. So I went to the eco shop, which is like the local dump shop, second hand shop, and was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I found these. If you don't know what they are old CD holders, and I had the idea of taking off the base and putting them in the ground, which means I can put the Pea Straw either side, plant the seeds in the middle, put it on top, and then easily move the Pea Straw away, and when the carrots or whatever I'm planting to get big enough, I can pull it off again. So I've done one with carrots, and when I see all these carrots coming up, I'll probably do another lot of carrots. And I've got some beetroot that I planted in little seed raising trays because I didn't know what to do with in the garden, so I'm going to be putting them under this as well, so that I can just pull it off, and then if I need to, put some little containers around them too. So I'll just show you what I'm talking about. I've got this garden covered as well because the birds really get into it. But what I've got is either side is I've just pulled it back and the sun can still get to it. There's a little bit of Pea Straw that has fallen through, but not too much. And hopefully I'll have some carrot seeds popping up soon that I'll be able to protect using this and then pull it off when I need to. So another issue with Pea Straw is the birds love it. So you can see this was covered, and now because this garden bed doesn't have its cover on at the moment, it is everywhere and it's on here. In some ways though, I'm kind of okay with that. This is just our bark anyway, so it doesn't matter if much is on there. And I do quite like encouraging the birds, especially where there's actually nothing planted in this section. This is where the garlic was, and so the ground is just recovering. I've put some organic matter in there, and this is composting as well on top, just locking everything in. And so while there's nothing in here, I'm actually okay with the birds having a bit of a dig around. The chickens also, we let them out the other day, they come in to say hi, and they had a bit of a dig around in here too. The chickens do a very good job at digging around, but also it means they get some lovely bugs for making the eggs even better. So I need to recover this a little bit. Since starting with my Pea Straw, I've done this whole bed, I've done the end of that one, I've done the sides of this bed. I've kind of left the middle because this is where I've got my basil growing and my tomatoes. I have done this whole bed. I've done the tomatoes and the beans. The two beds over here, and I've started just around this area. And I'll show you the bale that it's come from. I've done all this and I'll show you how much I've got left. And so this is how much I still have left. I filled up probably about maybe 6.5 garden beds worth of the Pea Straw, and I've got a mess left. I didn't realise how much or how far it would go, because it's packed into such a tight bale. Now I got this straight off a farmer, which is great because I was able to find out kind of the history of it, where it had come from, what they'd been using it for, what chemicals, what things they'd been using it with that I was happy with. And we live in Christchurch, which is a pea growing capital, so it means that Pea Straw is really easy to come across and it's a really good price. I got this for $40, and as you can see I'm going to be using it for a really long time. Now, I know that not all places in New Zealand or around the world have pea straws accessible, or you might get different garden centres and the things are about that big, which I know they kind of come up a bit bigger, but probably not worth it. I highly recommend mulching with whatever is the most easily accessible. You can use plants that have died as long as they're not they don't have any pests on them. I've had a problem with rust, which means things like my broad beans, which would have been really great to put down and mulch again, I can't use, I need to bin. There's different places that have coconut husks. You can use cocoa husks as well, heaps of different things. So definitely mulch. The plants love it. It means watering is so much easier, especially when you've got water restrictions, and I'm looking forward to winter and having it as well. Last year my ground definitely got frosted and was really cold, so I'm looking forward to seeing what difference it makes having the pea straw over winter, and I've got so much I'll be able to give it a really decent another layer before it comes into the cold season. So thank you for watching. If I haven't convinced you yet to mulch, do it. I'd be really interested to know what you use for mulch, what you find works really well or is a really good cost efficient way to do it in your area, and I'll catch you next time. See ya!